Hey kids, it's me, Nathan, down in the shop in the Belafonte. Today's video is going to be, well, I guess similar to other videos I've done, um, but different than most. Going to talk today about a new dope. Uh, I had the misfortune of quitting doing dope when it was old dope, old meth. Um, and I started back again when it was new dope. I've traced it back, and they say that the change happened somewhere around 2008. So I was perplexed at first. I thought it was a different drug. I thought it was bunk. I was getting ripped off by dealers or something. Um, yeah, so I really researched hard to figure out what the hell was going on here. And I've come to some conclusions. I think I'll pass those along today. Um, New dope started because dope was no longer cooked here in the U.S. It was all sent over the border to Mexico. When that happened, apparently ephedrine or pseudoephedrine is harder to come by in Mexico, at least in bulk, in mass. Um, yeah, so they started switching to something called the P2P method, which has a problem inherent in the system. It makes a a chiral isomer, which is a right hand and a left hand molecule. Uh, I'm not sure which one is which, but for the purposes of our discussion, yeah, right and left. One is D-meth, which is good, the good stuff. One is L-meth, which is worthless. It's generally considered a waste product. It's the stuff you find in like asthma inhalers and God, I don't even know what else. It's worthless. It gets your heart rate up. Um, it unfortunately has at least the same instances of psychosis. I believe maybe up to 5 times more. Um, yeah, but it's this chiral isomer, which means that for every molecule of D-meth, it makes a molecule of L-meth. It's the right and the left. Um, they're not interchangeable. Ask any of the, I think it's pronounced formaldehyde, flo, whatever, the flipper babies from the 70s. That was the result of an isomer as well. Yeah, D-meth, good stuff. L-meth, it just gets your heart rate going. It has the initial feeling and taste of the real stuff, but none of the follow through, none of the legs they call it. None of the high either. It's just not even comparable. But unfortunately, yeah, at the very least, the same instance of psychosis. Um, so what we're encountering on the street, even though it's more pure, it's over 90% pure now. They almost never cut it straight from the factories, the giant labs. Um, it gets cut on the way down through the ranks. Um, yeah, which is unfortunate because it's only 50% as potent. Because it only presents 50% of the actual D-meth. Um, yeah, yeah, it is incredibly tricky to separate the isomers. You need something called a chiral tube. I'm not familiar with it, don't know how it works, and don't know the process or the results. But I know it's tricksy. Um, yeah, so where does this leave us? The meth is half as potent. I myself have increased my dosage to try and compensate, but it really doesn't even out. You can't just double the dose and get the same effect. Um, yeah, which makes it really frustrating and a little scary. I did 20 cents tops, 25 cents maybe once of old dope in a blast. And I'm up to easily 40 cents. I think I've shot 60 cents of new dope. And yeah, it's just ridiculous. I will say this though, whereas with old dope, there was what's called a rush right after you inject. Um, with new dope, I wouldn't call it rushing. I've always called it reeling. Um, and I am kind of partial to the reel. I kind of like reeling almost more than I like rushing. Again, it's been so fucking long since I've actually rushed that I don't really have a good comparison to go by, but I do like reeling. Um, yeah, yeah, but that's the only benefit. Um, yeah, shorter legs, less initial oomph. Um, that stuff uh, doesn't get you off your ass. Kids that started their habit in this new dope era have no idea what they're missing. Um, and it's worse for everybody. It's worse for the user. It's worse for law enforcement. It's worse for mental health advocates. Um, it's just a mess. Um, yeah, yeah. From my personal experience, in the days of old dope, I would meet maybe one out of 20 users that were encountering psychosis, meth-induced psychosis. And they'd usually always been up for way too long and just done ungodly amounts, like pushing towards OD amounts. Um, and then, yeah, you get some psychosis, and then once they go to sleep, it usually goes away. Uh, New meth, maybe 1 out of 5 users encounter psychosis. I mean, it's prevalent. Um, I'm seeing it all over the place. Um, e- Even my family has been struck by it. Um, yeah, and it doesn't go away. Is the weird part? It seems even after they've gotten some sobriety under their belts, the people that are experiencing this psychosis still experience it. Um, I wouldn't say it's lifelong, but it's a significantly longer um, adjustment period before you get past the psychosis. Um, yeah, I would say 5 times. It's only it, it's not scientific. It's not based on a study. Just based on experience. Um, but yeah, I trust my experience. Um, yeah, the numbers are ridiculous, and everyone, whether these kids know it or not, I say kids, I mean the people who started their habits in the new dope era. Um, yeah, don't even realize they're doubling their dose. They're easily doubling their dose. I mean, you can sit there and smoke the shit all night and never have more energy than to barely stay awake and not get off your ass. It gives you exactly enough energy to smoke more. Uh, I'm relatively confident that it is straight from the devil himself. Um, yeah. These people, they're doubling their dose without even knowing it. People who know it, people like me, are still doubling their dose, and they know exactly what's going on. Well, I know what's going on. A lot of folks out there didn't put any research into it. They just know something's different. Like you'll always hear the stories of old dope, what it used to be like, and it's true. It's all true. It used to be you'd take God, you'd smoke a bowl and be up for 3 days. You'd be praying for sleep by the end of the time that shit let go of you. Yeah, now you can smoke all day and go to sleep at night. You can eat. Um, uh, Smaller things that you do on the side, say booze or weed, stuff that doesn't even work when when you're on old dope. That shit is pointless. Now it has like an increased effect. You take a shot of liquor, you'll feel it more. You smoke a bowl of weed, you'll be fried. Um, I can't explain it, but this is what it seems to be doing. Um, yeah, all I can do here is explain what it is that we're dealing with. It's a sp2p method. It's a chiral isomer, so it's 50% of L-meth and D-meth. I think I've covered all that. Yeah, where does that leave us? It's cheaper. It's gotten so much cheaper. I think I've heard it as low as 300 an ounce for 90% pure, but again, 50% of what you want. And when it's presented with this chiral isomer, it changes the stats. Yeah, it's not straight across the board. It's not, well, half, so you double your dose. Like, it's more than double your dose. It's more than twice the instance of psychosis. It's less than half the effect. Yeah, the math doesn't work out right, and it's all skewed against you. It's basically designed to create an army of thieves and psychosis. Mental health professionals are dealing with it. Police are dealing with it. Um, yeah, and the cold hard fact is it's because of uh, the stringent nature of their basically banning ephedrine, pseudoephedrine. Um, they've made it so hard to come by and so much easier to just make this other way that this is what's available now. This is the world we live in. There's no more local cooks. They're all over the border in Mexico cranking out this cheap, disgusting shit that's ineffective. Fucking, yeah. It used to be smoke a bowl in the morning, go to work, work extra hours, come home, maybe smoke a bowl at night. Yeah, now it's smoking constantly all day for days and days and days and not going to work. Uh, People are stealing to support their habit. They're stealing just for fun. Kleptomania is, God, rampant amongst the community. Um, yeah, it's no good for anyone. And yeah, I hate to say it, but the answer is legalization. If people could get good product again, they, I know they'd go back to work. They'd go back to showing what a good tweaker is useful for. And believe me, they're useful. Um, when I started my habit in central Nebraska, there were tree cutters, guys who'd cut trees, and they'd go out with no supervision, and they just collect bundles. They got paid by the bundle, so they'd be out there for days straight, just cutting trees and fucking doing a good job, bundling everything up, getting exchange for their pay, and starting a good cycle. Um, yeah, that's those were some of my examples, I guess, when I was coming up in the community and learning how to do things like keep a job, how to have a relationship, how to operate effectively while on dope, how to ride out the crash, let the crash take you. Fight it if you have to, make it a day or two, before your days off from your job. so you can crash on your days off and be right back up ready for work again on Monday. Um, yeah, learning skills like that actually uh, help someone to be. Uh, I hate to use the same word again, effective, but it's true. Yeah, could say, oh, role models. That's the word I was trying to think of for examples. The role models in the community. That's who I had was tree cutters. Of course, everyone knows the stories about the truckers and construction workers. But really, they're in all fields, especially these days. You'll find tweakers in all fields. But uh, they're, this new dope is just ravaging the community. Um, and like I said, the answer is really legalization, and that's taboo. I know legalizing meth is such a crazy idea, but really, it would be about getting good product back into the hands of the people. What they're dealing with now is just shit. It's from the devil. It's meant to deconstruct everything that a good tweaker builds for themselves and for their community. Um, yeah, it's just a bad deal, and legalizing it would get the good product back out there. Would get money out of the hands of criminals. Yeah, there's a lot that it would do. Uh, but mainly, yeah, if we change the way we treat rehabilitation, and change our approach to having the product available by namely letting it be available. Um, yeah, I think that we would see a ton of good being done. And what I mean by changing the rehab structure and whatnot is not to make it about abstinence. Abstinence never works for anything. It works for some people who shouldn't be on it. Drugs aren't for everybody. But for, I mean, the vast majority of users, they're not going to quit. They don't want to quit. What they need is uh, a rehab that's oriented with helping them to keep a job, helping them to manage their cycle so that they're crashing on days off and up on days that they're working. Uh, yeah, we need an adjustment to the way we look at this as a problem and when it's a problem and when it's not a problem. Um, yeah. Change the laws so that you know if you're working to support your habit, there's no crime. If you commit crimes to support your habit, that's an extra crime. Um, so like using a gun to commit a crime is an extra crime. Uh, yeah, if you're robbing and pillaging, well, I guess basically if you're not working and you're still high, you come up failing new ways, and you don't have a job, it's to be assumed that you're paying for it by illicit means, um, underhanded means, and yeah, that might be a way to set up a criminal offense. Um, but if you're working, if you're keeping a job, if you're getting promoted at your job, um, I think it needs to be hands off. Um, we have the right to minimize our lifespan in whichever way we choose. It's about quality of life, not quantity. And some of us are going to have quantity of life. Also, it's just the way it works. You always hear of those 90-year-old men who smoked every day of their lives and drank, fucking whatever. You hear of them all the time. I mean, they're not the norm, they're not the standard, but they happen. and it'd be the same with legalizing meth. You'd have those that stood out, but I mean, most people, you're gonna cut what, 10 years off your life. Sorry, that's just a personal choice. If you know what you're getting into, don't get me wrong, if you're gonna regret it and whine kicking and screaming all the way to death's door, uh, maybe don't be on hard drugs. But if you're down, if you know what you're losing and giving up, and you embrace it for the quality of life that it leaves you during your good years, uh, more power to you. That's nobody else's problem. Um, yeah, we need to change the way we look at this as a problem. It's not just doing meth doesn't make you bad, doesn't make everything you work for wrong. Um, yeah, we need to adjust that a little bit. It's time to see it as just a tool for getting things done, which it is. Um, yeah, yeah. Uh, yeah, do me a favor and pass this video around. Same as the drug talk video. These are my two big public awareness social commentary videos. Um, yeah, I'd like to get the conversation either started or throw my 2 cents in. So yeah, share this video. All right. Thanks, guys.